everybody, welcome back to the Anxious Love Coach channel. My name is Natalie and I'm a relationship anxiety coach as well as a meditation teacher that specializes in the mindfulness of relationships. If you struggle with relationship anxiety, constantly doubting your partner, and you want to feel good about your choice of relationships so that you can actually start to enjoy it instead of having one foot in, one foot out all the time, you are in the right place. Today's topic is how to stop comparing your partner to other people, how to stop comparing your relationship. I know this is something that I used to struggle with a lot, where when my relationship anxiety was really, really bad, I used to look at other relationships and always feel kind of envious of what other people had, or I would be hanging out with someone of the opposite sex, or maybe even the same sex. That's a topic for another day. But finding someone else attractive, perhaps, and feeling sad that my partner wasn't that. So if that's you, you're in the right place today. A lot of people ask us, how do I stop comparing my partner to other people? How do I stop comparing my man to other men? How do I stop comparing my relationship to the relationships of celebrities or couples on social media, or maybe even your friends or even your family? So I'm going to try to keep this short because this is actually somewhat simple to understand why we do this. And if you can understand why you do something, you can start to develop a little bit of compassion around yourself, realize why you're doing this, and understand that you're trying to get a need met when you're comparing to your partner to someone else. And if you can understand what need you're trying to get met, then you can try to see if you can get that need met yourself or through another way, or come to acceptance of the fact that you picked a flawed partner. We all did. And you could go ahead and find somebody else and they're going to be just as flawed, but in a different way. So part of this is coming to acceptance of the fact that, like, your partner's not going to meet all your needs. Your partner's not going to be this perfect person that you want them to be. And that every day, to quote someone, if you know this quote, please say in the comments who quoted this, but to be in a long-term relationship is to every day grieve who they are not. And I actually believe that in grieving who they are not and grieving what you did not pick in a relationship, you actually start to make some space for gratitude for what you did pick, for who your partner is. Because until you make space for your grief and your rage, you won't make space for your compassion, your acceptance, and ultimately your gratitude. I had relationship anxiety for 6 out of the 9 years of my relationship. The last 2 years since I pulled my foot out the door has been some of the best years of my relationship to date. And it not that much changed on the outside, but how I started looking at the relationship changed. And I'm so grateful. I want other people to feel that way. So for example, let's say you look at a relationship and on Instagram or YouTube, and they look like this really spiritual couple, and it kind of sucks because you're looking at your partner who's like not spiritual. Maybe you're spiritual and you wish that they were more spiritual, more open to discussing like the nuance of the universe, and maybe they're not so into that. Maybe they just want to go to Home Depot with you and help you buy a sliding screen door, and that's your relationship every day. Okay. So first thing is, honestly, take a deep breath and realize, just ground this into your reality, that your partner is not going to meet all your needs. They're here to meet some of them. And it's really on you to try to get these needs met by other people, by your community, by your hobbies, and also within. I don't believe that you have to meet all your needs yourself, but I also don't believe that your partner is responsible for meeting all or even most of your needs. I actually have a whole podcast episode on this called Why Your Partner Can't Meet All or Even Most of Your Needs. I'm going to ask my editor to put that maybe up here or in the show notes. That is a really, really good episode. So when you're comparing your partner to someone else, I want you to ask yourself what need that you're perceiving as getting met by that other person. So for example, I do Argentine tango, and there are people there that I sometimes find attractive. I know it's like a really scary thing to say out loud, but sometimes I dance with someone and it's really, really fun and I really, really enjoy it. So I'm getting a few needs met for them. I'm getting a need for physical touch met. I'm getting a need for intellectual stimulation. Sometimes tango people are aliens and they're fascinating in the way they think. So a lot of them think the way I do, and I can have certain types of conversations there that maybe Press and I don't really have conversations about that often. And I'm also getting my need for play met. And sure, I get some needs for play met in my relationship, but I also get my need for play met in an innocent way that isn't threatening to my relationship. Where it starts to get tricky is where you start imagining a whole future with some other person because you're so starved for getting this one need met, and you're beating yourself up for wanting to get that need met that you're not even allowing yourself to enjoy this moment that would actually feed you if you stopped beating yourself up. So tango is one of those things that meets so many of my needs, and I enjoy it fully. And as a result, I feel fed. That need is met. I come home and I don't need so much from my partner, but I also stayed within the confines and the boundaries of the relationship. So part of me not feeling the need to compare myself or to compare my partner or to compare my relationship is a lot of I have it first and foremost an awareness of what my needs are. And I've curated a lifestyle that perfectly meets those needs, at least as best as I can. Without straying from the relationship or rupturing the trust and the boundaries that exist within the relationship. So identify what need you're trying to get met, or what need are you thinking that person would meet for you? Who would you get to be around that person? And that will tell you what side of yourself is a bit starved. And so take a look at what hobbies you can do to nourish certain sides of yourself. Take a look at which communities are going to have the types of conversations with you that you're desiring to have. If you're looking for a spiritual community of sorts, find a spiritual community. If you're looking for intellectuals, go join like a Toastmasters group, people who are really good at public speaking and are analytical and intellectual. So have communities of people that you are, a separate being when you enter it. You're not just this person in relationship, but you are you as a separate identity with that's multifaceted, and you're someone outside of your relationship. You have, AKA have a life. I think my camera is a little bouncy because we're in a little Airbnb and all I have is a bed. So sometimes when I laugh, this bounces a bit. All right. So the second thing I would say is notice if you're trying to get validation of some sort. So what I mean by that is sometimes when we're comparing our relationship, it's because we're seeing our partners as inadequate in some way. So let's say, you go to a dinner party and Joe is like wearing a really nice tuxedo and your partner's wearing kind of like a t-shirt and some cargo pants or something. Sorry, Preston, I know you wear cargo pants. Yours actually look really, really good on you. But let's say your partner's dressed in a way that's like clearly not as put together as like that guy. All right, so you might be viewing your partner from a very narrow lens, in the sense that you're staring from the outside, looking in on the room, and you're seeing Joe with his tuxedo, and you're seeing you with this guy in cargo pants. And clearly from the outside, it looks like Joe is like the alpha, or the one that you should be with, like obviously from the outside. But if you look at it from the stance of your relationship, if you were to know everything about the situation, you had all the context about Joe, you might realize that like maybe he's a player and maybe he really doesn't care about women, or maybe he doesn't know how to change a light bulb, or maybe he's a mama's boy, but you don't know all those things. All you're doing is looking from the outside, making a projection about who you think these two people are. You're the one that knows all your partner's flaws. You know no flaws about Joe, the guy in the tuxedo. And so you're making an assessment from the outside. People with relationship anxiety have this ability to guess how other people are viewing them, regardless of whether that guess is actually accurate or not. So when you're looking from the outside in and like weighing your partner versus this other potential partner, you're kind of looking from the perspective of like what society expects of you, AKA you're looking for approval from society based on how something looks on the surface. I'm going to say that again because it's so important. When you are comparing when you are comparing your partner versus some other random person, you are aligning yourself with the lens of society, looking at the surface of something and making a judgment of what's better from that angle. Now, a wise partner is able to see that not everybody knows what your relationship looks like. Not everybody knows the ins and outs and the beautiful, the bad, the good, and the ugly about your relationship. But you're making an assumption based on society's view of you. So the first thing is to notice, who is your alliance with? Are you putting your lens, your perspective in alignment with society's lens, or are you keeping it from your own lens, which is, a wise mind would say, yeah, that tuxedo looks really good, but I know nothing about that guy. I know nothing about them. For all I know, they could be a terrible partner for me. I have no idea. I'm making his whole personality around how this guy is dressed, okay? So form an alliance with your partner if you are willing, and be willing to deal with the discomfort of someone judging you or someone judging your relationship. And if you're willing to kind of access your inner rebel that says, I don't care what you think, I'm gonna be with this guy with the cargo pants and let you deal with the discomfort of judging me for that. Form an alliance with your partner, not with society. And the last thing I would recommend is actually a beautiful recommendation from Sheryl Paul, who is the author of The Wisdom of Anxiety, one of my favorite pioneers in the relationship anxiety sphere. She mentioned to grieve the lives you never lived. So that might mean, if I were to not be with my cargo pants man and go for the guy in the tuxedo, what am I envisioning that life would look like that I don't have right now? And to really deal with the sadness and disappointment of not choosing that life. A lot of us think that being disappointed means we made the wrong decision. That is not true. Inherent in any choice that you make is the fact that you didn't make another choice. So even if you made a choice that feels right, that still means that you might feel some sadness or some disappointment that you didn't pick something else. And think of all the people that had kids that sometimes feel sad that they have kids. You think that they did something wrong because they're sad that they're not childless anymore? No, we can make a decision that feels like the next natural step for us, the step that we want to take, and still feel very sad that we didn't choose something else. There's enough room inside, as I say with a lot of my clients that I work with, there's enough space inside to hold conflicting truths like that, which is, I chose this partner that I wanted to be with, and I'm also devastated that I didn't make this other choice. There's enough space inside to hold both of those. So grieve the life that you never got with the tuxedo guy. Grieve the eat, pray, love life you didn't get. Grieve the wild teenage dream that you never lived up, especially if you're one of those people that stayed with one person for your whole life, or you met your partner in high school, or you met your partner in college. If you still love them and want to continue a life with them, make some very real space for the grief of the life you never got to live. And start to embrace the sadness and the disappointment as a part of life that comes with making choices and not choosing other things. So I hope that was helpful for you. And if you enjoy this content, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the Anxious Love Coach podcast. Check out the Instagram and TikTok accounts. Anxious Love Coach posts lots of really good stuff there. I have an email list that has a free relationship anxiety meditation, so you can head on over to anxiouslovecoach.com to subscribe and receive that free meditation. And if you want to work with us, we've got some offerings up on there too. Thanks so much for listening. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.